Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings podcast with Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist. Control Talk, your source for smart building control news you can use. And now, here's Eric.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
All right. Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now for the week ending October 25th, 2015. My name is Eric Stromquist. I am your host. I am in Aruba. This is not the typical setup we have, but no matter where I'm in the world, thanks to technology, I can always be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only. You know him as Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show and welcome to Aruba.
Hey, Eric, I'll tell you what, you're happening, baby. Thank you. And I'll tell you what, I even got the incredible view of the beach, and we got a beachcomber there lathering her suntan lotion up. That cost extra? Did you have her come in as a
I've got
marquee appearance?
I might have some special surprises coming in, and hopefully the opening was Scott Cross from Temperature Controls out of Dallas, Texas. He was doing one of those jetpack things where you go up in the air. So
wow,
goes to show that distributors in our industry are also superheroes. So special thanks to Scott Cross for that. Hopefully that made the show. If not, we'll post it on Control Trends later in the week. But Kenny, it's been great. You see, I got the high-tech gear here. I went off the headphones. I'm borrowing Evelyn Grace's headphones here. So I think we're setting a new trend with these.
I like it.
But hopefully the technology will work okay, Kenny, because we're down by the beach, and this might not be perfect in terms of our usual quality, hopeful quality, but we'll do the best we can. But tell you what, man, it's been a great, we've talked about it, conference months, September, October. The Belimo Platinum meeting is no exception. Belimo has, I think it's 34 platinum distributors, which are the top of the top. We met here in Aruba. Belimo always takes us on a trip. And we do a lot of business, but at the same time we have a good time. So I want a special thanks to Gary Weber, Chad Blackmere, and of course Lars van der Hagen for another wonderful, wonderful trip. And Kenny, I tell you what, I'm so pumped up about what Belimo's doing. It's like they're not just, they're inventing the future with what they're doing with valves and actuators. And I'm going to try to do this some justice today. And I've got some interviews I'll be posting next week. But they kind of remind me of that BMW commercial. You ever seen that commercial where they go, we just do one thing, but we do it really well. We make the best auto, driving experience in the world, the BMW commercial. And that's
Sure.
kind of the way it is with Belimo. These guys just focus on the valves and actuators. But Kenny, they've got a product roadmap that goes way out. And they really are thinking about the future. And I say they're inventing the future, and it's amazing what they're coming up with, and I think their big theme is saving energy, along with products that don't break and work first time every time, and providing great customer support and service. So that being said, you deal with some Belimo. What are your thoughts on them before I go on?
Well, I think, like you said, they've taken all their engineering prowess and they focused on how water moves through a building or facility, and came up with the valve assembly, the product portfolios to perfect that, and then the direct coupled actuators. I think back in the day when mod motors ran everything, open and closed everything, modulate everything, Belimo came out of nowhere. We've learned a bit about the history, how it came to the North American market through companies like Neptronic, and then all of a sudden, if you weren't doing the direct coupled actuator scene, you were missing out on about 30% savings, possibly greater control. And I think that the person that I remember was the Werner Buck, who was one of our Hall of Fame members. I remember him coming to Pittsburgh and telling us how things are changing, and you got to get on board with it. So from that point forward, he had my attention. Belimo had my attention, and I think that they just really and truly earned their stripes, and they came out with the first 5-year warranty that the rest of the market players had to emulate or copy, or may come up with some 3 and 2 or something to give a 5-year warranty, and then the users started pulling Belimo through, and I think that's when it really shifted it. They actually became. I think they own 70% of the market at one time. Now they got some serious competition, but they keep evolving with their engineering. Like you said, they don't rest easy. They find better ways to do things. The most important takeaway that you gave me yesterday when we did our little review was you were telling about how Belimo actuators don't draw as much amp rating. In a single instance, that's not much of a big deal. But when you put a couple thousand or a couple hundred of these in a large campus or just distributed environment, hospitals or whatever, what's the impact of that?
Well, it's huge. And the example, and I didn't really think about this, but this is one of the things they talked about, was their typical actuator now draws about 0.3 amps, where a lot of the others might draw 5 or 6 amps, right, to run the actuator. And again, as you think about one actuator, maybe not that big a deal, but if you got 2,000 or 3,000, that's what we call low-hanging fruit. I mean, you can just, by using that actuator, you're going to save some energy right there at the actuator level. So it was interesting. Lars van der Hagen spoke a bit, the new CEO of Belimo, and also one of the nominees for the Control Trends Executive of the Year. And I sort of got a little feel for their culture, Kenny. There are a couple of things about their culture that maybe explain part of their success. One of the things being they spend a ton of their profits, probably double what their nearest competitor does, on research and development every year. So they really reinvest in the research and development, because one of their big things is excellence in engineering and excellence in product. So that was one thing. Now, there were several, but the other thing that really stuck out to me, Kenny, is one of their philosophies is, and it goes to every single one of their employees, if it's a Belimo product and it's in the marketplace and the customer's not happy, or it's not working properly, or there's an issue, it is up to that Belimo employee to fix the problem, no matter what department they're in, no matter what they do. And I think it really is pervasive through their employees, right? You see that sort of attitude that it's not like, where did you buy this, where did you get it? I mean, they hop on it with both feet. They take a lot of pride in not only making their products, but in servicing their products. And I think that is something that's almost palpable, in the marketplace. And I think it explains a lot of their success. They also do a very deep dive culturally examining themselves. They really want to make sure that their culture is a great culture to work in. So I won't give away some of their secrets, but they shared them with us. So they're constantly re-examining themselves from a leadership and a management standpoint. And I think their philosophy is, if we take great care of our employees, hire the right people, they're going to take great care of our customers. And I think it shows, Kenny. So that's really cool. And then Lars sort of got into some of the trends that they're seeing. I think this is great for our Control Trends audience to know. They're really seeing the market continuing to grow to about 2018, and then they're seeing maybe a dip in 2018, but they're seeing 2017 and the end of 2016 with a big pickup, okay, in terms of sales, so that's a good thing. The other trend, Kenny, that they're really tracking is they're saying that there's a huge trend to urbanization, people moving to cities. And of course, remember, Belimo is worldwide, so they're giving us a perspective from a global perspective. And they're seeing more and more people move into the cities. And consequently, Belimo is going to be coming out, Kenny, with a residential offering of all things, okay? And I can't give that away because that's out in the future a little bit. But I will say, maybe their definition of residential gives a little bit of it away, Kenny. They're seeing residential as more and more people moving to cities, and more people in cities living in buildings. So
was a testament to that, Eric. We did something last week, and I did a little background research on some of it. Do you know that they lowered the in Europe and possibly New York City, which kind of like California leads a lot of things in the United States as far as standards and reducing your carbon footprint. Well, New York has a lot to do with the real estate, and they're going to reduce the legal residence apartment down from 400 feet. I think now you can't have an apartment and consider it a living quarter unless it's 400 feet. I've read recently that they're going to make an exception and make it 350 feet, and they're going to start building cities on those little container cubicle type things. They're going to modernize or redo the way they build buildings to make things so micro small, like Japan. When you rent a hotel room in there, and I've been through a couple of hotels where you can barely fit in the room. The bed gives you about 6 inches to walk around. Well, imagine this whole concept, and wouldn't that fit right into what Belimo's got intended? That if there's a new living space that's being designed specifically for cities, and we're talking the big cities. We're talking in China, we're talking in India, we're talking in United States, New York, Paris was involved. London was involved. All these cities now are going to let people build these unique condominium type buildings. The structures were really cool looking, space looking, but what kind of HVAC are they going to have inside of it to make sure they're going to have fresh air, make sure they're going to have HVAC? Well, the things that we saw over in Europe, I got an idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, slice of bread.
Right. Absolutely, Kenny. Well, and of course, if you think about it, their pressure independent control valve, and especially their energy valve, Kenny, really fit into this. And we took a deeper dive into the energy valve, and I tell you what, Kenny, that is probably one of the greatest products to come out in a long time. And for our listeners who might not know, what the energy valve basically does is it can go on the coil at the coil level, and it automatically rebalances itself, it recommissions itself. If you're a consulting engineer, you can put this energy valve in, and because it can control off a delta T, right? Or you can control through the flow or delta T. You don't have to worry about, sizing your valve so much for the coil, because it'll automatically compensate for that. And Kenny, the result of that is a couple things. The savings are huge. They gave example after example. They gave one, a big industrial company that in North Carolina. They took the same air handling units to get the same amount of cooling. Okay, they went from 296 gallons. They put it in the flow mode that the energy valve has. They took it down to 120 gallons. And then when they put it controlling off a delta T, and again, in the same amount of cooling, it only took 96 GPM for them to get the same amount of cooling. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to start thinking that through and realize how much money you're going to save, not only in terms of your pumping and your chiller usage, but and these are primarily being used, Kenny, right now on retrofit. But I think when the consulting engineers community really gets their arm around what they can do, because now you can size smaller chillers, you can size smaller pumps, the savings, not only in terms of energy savings, but startup costs are going to be huge. And then the other thing that goes on with that, Kenny, is it automatically rebalances itself or recommissions itself, so you can get lead points off of it. The data is available, so you can suck that up through BACnet, so you can get that data. It's a product. It's a mystery to me, Kenny, why more aren't selling. And the only thing I can think is that it's almost too good to be true, so people don't believe it. But they've got studies from everybody from MIT to different studies. So I think that product is going to be a huge player. Their sales indicated that is really, the adoption rate of that product is going up. It's a huge opportunity for mechanical contractors to go in when they're talking to their service customers, offer just a low-hanging fruit, easy energy saving, easy operational expense coming down. And then also in terms of the data you're able to suck out of that, Kenny, if you're a service contractor or a mechanical contractor, it sets you up. If there is a problem, you'll know about it in advance, so that you can definitely hop on that call. Now, the other thing, Kenny, with that, I know I'm talking a lot, but it's just I'm starting to remember this stuff, is Belimo's making a huge investment in the cloud. So they're looking at pushing all this data up to the cloud so that you can suck the data down and then reconfigure valves, actuators. Their service team can get access, if you allow them to valves and actuators that are on a job site to help with the troubleshooting. There's going to be no charge for that right now, Kenny. They're making that available. They got a super cool app that they've got on the phone, so whether you're hooked to the cloud or not, where you can configure and troubleshoot your actuators, select them. So they're really getting social with that, so big steps there. I just want to roll through these real quick, if you don't mind. You can come back and comment. Their zone type valve, which is a product that's out, is just cool. It's going after the fan coil unit, the people like Area and stuff like that. Maybe more coming through the plumbing wholesalers, but they got basically, Kenny, a fan coil type valve, zero linkage. Price point is awesome. Again, low amp pull, a lot lower than the amp pull on most of your zone type valves. Price point is kicking. And the cool thing about that, you can take the head off of it. You can put a different head on. Now you can also use this as a balancing valve. So now instead of buying your balancing valve from one company, buying your fan coil or your control valves from another company, you can buy all Belimo. So it's just really cool, Kenny, what they're doing with that. And then the final thing, Kenny, and I think this is just the Mac Daddy of products that's available now, is Belimo's come out with a flow meter, ultrasonic flow meter. And dude, it is pressure and temperature compensated. So, normally if you do a flow meter, if you don't compensate for temperature changes or pressure changes or the glycol content in your solution, it's going to throw your readings off. They calibrate these, they wet test calibrate these things. It's the same flow meter they use in the energy valve. But Kenny, we finally have a very price competitive, easy to use, low maintenance, flow meter to compete with the Onicons and people like that. No more paddle wheels, no more nutating disc, no more, your disc getting jammed up and shutting your system down. This to me is going to take off. We've got them in stock now. We've ordered them. We got them in stock. But the Belimo ultrasonic flow meter is another product. I think they're going to do really, really well with that. So, did I tell you enough, or do we need more?
Hey, music to my ears. I think the market needs it. I think that's just the technology we keep talking about. As it becomes more accessible, it becomes more usable, more friendly, and it has to come down to the price point so we can afford it. The single greatest, not criticisms, but the single greatest, feedback or brushback is on the PICC valves and the energy saving valves. They represent such a large savings, but still, I read an interesting article in Energy Systems, Engineering Systems. I think it was Paul Ehrlich was saying that that balance point still hasn't made it to where it becomes a default choice by engineers. Engineers are still so price conscientious and so system. They work with what they know. And so that hopefully Belimo gets an economy of scale, sells enough of these things that they can eventually drop those intelligent valves. And the crazy thing about it is, in the MIT study, is that what was really cool is it's beneath the building automation system. So should that fail, or should you go offline, or should you have a problem, this thing is a system within a system. In other words, it works. It's friendly with your building management system, but you don't need the building management system. It runs alone. And lastly, we know that there's probably an ulterior motive somewhere out there with the MP bus. Belimo has a protocol inside of every single one of their products that makes them smart and can be networked. And that is just an incredibly cool thing to have. It reminds me of Iconics and some of the other manufacturers that they know you can't afford all of it right now. So what they do is they give you the base load. Every one of these things is enabled or can be enabled for a future smart purpose. Like with, so one day we might see people using MP drivers, like EasyIO coming up with an MP gateway that says, okay, go out and discover all my Belimo devices. And then give me the opportunity to pick those points up, that information, and aggregate all that incredible information. So. Well,
Kenny, don't steal their thunder. They got to have something for next year. But I think you're very intuitive there. But I want to go back to something you said about the consulting engineers and the price point. I really believe that if the consulting engineer really stops and thinks about it for a minute, their biggest challenge, quite candidly, is the risk that goes along with undersizing equipment. Okay, they also got to create value for the owner. So basically, what's happened, if you think about how things are done, we control off of a design point. Worst case scenario. Okay, the coils and everything are sized off of that. So basically, what that means is it creates an operational nightmare for the owner, because only on the hottest day or the coldest day of the year are these things going to be operating at design temperature. The rest of the time, there is, energy waste, big energy waste. I mean, the coils get overflowed, right? You're maybe not getting enough to the top, so your owner is having a hard time with that. And if you really want to talk about saving money, so if you put the Belimo energy valve in, those problems go away because it's constantly balancing itself, constantly recalibrating. If you control off a delta T, if you really want to save the owner money, you're being penny wise and pound foolish to say the energy valve costs too much money, because if you are designing a building and you can now have a chiller that's not as big, if your equipment doesn't have to be as big, and you're going to get the same performance with smaller pipes, a smaller chiller, I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing as a consulting engineer, and in my estimation, is you're supposed to be creating value. You could save tons of money on the startup cost by looking at something like the energy valve. So I implore you, Belimo's got a team of engineers that will come into the consulting engineers. They'll sit down, they'll show you the valve, they'll walk you through it. Hell, they'll even give you one to give to your owner to evaluate, if you want to. This is not, Kenny, unproven technology. I mean, the case studies, there's a website, BelimoEnergyValve.com. The case studies are there. MIT's put it through the ringer. Other people have. They just, you can't kill this thing. It's there. So the question becomes, do you want to be the one that's specifying this, or do you want your competitor to specify it? Do you want to be a mechanical contractor that's going to your owners and saying, hey, we can show you a way you can save huge money, improve your operational efficiencies, or do you want your competitor to? This product, Kenny, is gaining foothold, and it is. The only question is, are you going to be on the Belimo energy bus or not? That's my estimation. I think the little more you pay for it is far, far, far. You get so much more benefit out of it. I mean, you take that bet every day. It's a little bit like if you go, all right, if you pay $2 for a lottery ticket as opposed to $1 for a lottery ticket, we'll guarantee you're going to win $5,000 every time. You're going to spend the extra buck, 50% more or twice as much every time because you know you're going to win.
Well, if they need a Belimo salesman for the southeast part of the country, I think you'd qualify.
I don't often get excited about products, but this one is just, it's there. And then you got the Belimo support, so it's a good stuff. But listen, I'm probably.
Well, you're supposed to be. You're at the Belimo. You're under the tropical effects of Aruba.
Yeah.
You guys dodged the hurricane. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
you can go off a little bit.
All right. Well, cool. But listen, there'll be a lot more. I did get a chance to sit down with Lars van der Hagen. Got an interview with Lars, some of their product managers. So stay tuned next week on Control Trends. We'll have some more interviews where you can actually hear from other people. But needless to say, suffice it to say, thanks to Gary Weber, again, Chad Blackbeer, and Lars van der Hagen for just a great event. And Kenny, I'm off to Mark Peacock in Lynxspring on Monday for their event, and I'm expecting great things from them as well. I mean, the one thing you got to admit, everything from EasyIO to Honeywell Momentum to Johnson Controls last year, I mean, the manufacturers are not standing still. They're all moving forward, so it's exciting stuff. Exciting time to be in the controls industry.
Well, sure. We're going to be covering a little bit of that conference coming up. That's our second post. If you want to transition, this might be a good point to do it with Chris Schnieder and Open BMCS.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, I have a redaction, or what do you call it, correction. Last week I said Open BCMS. I don't know how I did that, Building Controls Management System, but it's actually Building Management Control System. So it's Open BMCS. And this is a great interview. While you were still in Paris, you have this young entrepreneur who's an IT, just basically kind of, real smart. His father was in the control business, and he came out of, one of the leading universities with IT background and said, this is nonsense. I can do this. So he came up with an immediate browser-based building management at your fingertips. And I'm just going to give a little overview of the product, and why don't you tell me a little bit about Chris Schnieder. But basically, Chris says he's got a system that's open, versatile, and completely scalable. So no matter what type or size of your business, whether you want to watch your garage doors open and close, he can expand and contract to hundreds of controllers and monitor anything campus-wide, and bring it in that energy aggregation format that you need to have to control things and save money and reduce your operational costs. So basically, simple and easy integration. It's a cost slasher. You only buy what you need, and you upgrade as you grow. Your business grows, your customers' needs grow. You can modularly increase your scale, and it's secure and hassle-free. So become a software and device-independent contractor, systems integrator, or user, and take a look at Open BMCS.
No, I think
Tell us about Chris Schnieder.
Well, I think it's a great product, and I think, for those of us in the building automation control, we know Sedona got some legs, and then they sort of got them cut out from under them. So I think at the very least, Chris's product provides a tool for your Sedona programming. It can do a lot more. Chris is a very innovative guy. As a matter of fact, his product is on the Control Trends ballot, so you can check him out. We have a lot of posts. We actually walked you through the software, showing you how to use it on Control Trends. So we'll put some links for you to check that out. But innovative guy, Kenny. And again, if we look at the building automation controls and the smart buildings controls as we know it, I mean, the choices are really, really fanning out. You just have so many choices to choose from. And you look at people like Niagara and Tritium. I mean, they're not standing still. They're putting more and more in their stack. So you got the choices from the big people, the Johnson Controls, Schneider Electric's got theirs, and then you come down and you got people like Mike Marston, EasyIO, and you got innovative people like J2 Innovation, DG Logik, and then people like Chris Schnieder. So I think the big challenge, if you're in the industry, is how do you choose what you want to use? And I say that there's advantages and disadvantages to all of them, Kenny. And I say that's one of the roles that your local distributor is really going to play for you. If you're looking for somebody to help you out, you want a distributor that handles multiple product lines. Why? You want that distributor to be pretty much brand agnostic so that they can guide you to what you want. So you can take a guy like Chris Schnieder, and he's got a product that's very innovative, very cutting edge. Chris is a smaller company, so you're going to get a great price point. You're going to get really innovative technology. And on the other side of that, you might have a bigger company that's going to be around 100 years from now, 200 years from now. They might not move as quick, but when they move, they typically move really, really big, and you might pay a little bit more for it. We talked about the Belimo energy valve just a couple of minutes ago. You pay for that sort of risk aversion of being with something that's maybe a little bit more known, a commodity that's more known and is going to be around. So there's that whole sort of, if you will, smorgasbord of opportunities. So if you're budget conscious, your distributor ought to be able to guide you to a solution that's less cost effective. If you're risk averse, your distributor ought to be able to guide you to one of the solutions that's been around and will probably be around for the next 100 years. But the biggest challenge you have today is just experimenting and knowing what's available technology-wise. And this gets back, I take my hats off to some of the consulting engineers like Donnie Walker at Newcomb & Boyd in Atlanta. This guy is everywhere. You talk about a guy who's embracing new technology and is out there and is checking it out and making sure it works and advising his customers about that. That is the enlightened engineer. And we still hear tales of consulting engineers out there who are just doing it the same way they've always done it, right? So, and I think those people are going to adapt or they're going to die. And by the way, same thing with contractors. You got a lot of contractors, they do the exact same thing. Same thing with distributors. We've always done it this way, we're not going to change. Well, I say that you have to be at least open to change, or you have to at least be knowledgeable about the changes. Otherwise, you're going to lose your ability to create value in the marketplace.
And you need to send me some of that coffee. I like that.
Dude,
hey,
I tell you what. I've been in a hotel room with my wife and 2 small kids. I mean, it's like I've got an hour free. They're going to be down here in a few minutes, and not that I'm complaining. We're having a blast. It's a good time, but I'm so glad to be having an adult conversation. Now, when was the last time you went to a meeting and you're taking notes and you're just so excited and because it's like adult conversation? It's like, whoa! I'd have to change one dirty diaper in the whole Belimo meeting.
Well, hats off to you, because I tell you that I don't know if anybody's aware of it or everybody's aware of it, but you've got a 3-year-old and a 8-month-old son, and you're rocking and rolling. So don't get tired on me now, because you're doing a great job.
All right.
Listen, we're going to transition into the DG Logik to reveal Project Assist 2.0 at the Lynxspring Exchange 2015, and this is combining 2 posts because. We all know about the Lynxspring Exchange Partner Conference, and this is where Lynxspring brings its ecosystem together, and you need an ecosystem to really get a product portfolio developed. You need people using your product and their apps and making your product. They surprise you and say, hey, I use that controller on this, and you say, well, I never thought you'd be using a Lynxspring Genesis to control an elevator, but good, it's great input. But here we got one of the sharpest knives in the drawer. We have Dennis Kostanov. He's gonna do a presentation on the latest DG Logik, DG Lux, and they're really excited because the DG Logik's revealing this enhanced step-by-step wizard called Project Assist 2.0 for facilities. The wizard allows users to create HTML interfaces rapidly in order to better manage and monitor facility data, deliver a faster, simpler, more intuitive user experience with the full flexibility and customization that people are used to with DG Lux 5. So DG Lux 5 is going to be one of the premier vendor presentations at this Lynxspring Exchange. It's the 26th, 27th of October, and I need you to send your bat jet over here to Pittsburgh to pick me up and bring me out there for the 27th, because I don't know if I can get out of Pittsburgh, but I'll be missing it. I'll be sore in the tooth about it because I know there's a lot of the vendors that are going to be there, the people are going to be there, and of course being in the presence of Mark Petarch, always learning, always doing something. And I know Mark has got a special cybersecurity presentation. That's another thing that's buzzed back into our weekly trends. We got the insurance business kicking up its head. Finally, we called it the mighty dollar rules, and insurance companies are not going to pay for people that don't take cybersecurity measures. So that's all going to happen there. You can see all that at the Lynxspring Exchange. So a little bit jealous.
We're very excited about it. Is our listeners may or may not know, Eugene Mazzo, the CEO of Lynxspring, and his whole team, we call them the Men in Black because they are just, not only they make great products, they're cool. They go around in black suits all the time. They have been doing a lot of really cool stuff on the West Coast, and it'd be great to see them. So I have camera, will travel. Dennis, I want to do an interview. We want you to demo this product to our Control Trends community. And a special thanks again, DG Logik's one of our perennial platinum sponsors at the Control Trends Awards, and they typically win there. So these guys do great stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing you, and hopefully I'll see Eugene there as well. So I think Eugene was expecting another baby. He and his wife had a baby about the same time we did with Evelyn, and I think his wife is probably due again, or maybe she did have another child. So we'll give you an update on that too.
Awesome. All right, and I know you did this because your good friend Able Ramirez, the controls freak, does a great video on the products you were just talking about. He did one on the Belimo spring return actuator, and tell us a little bit about the AF24 spring return actuator video from Able.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to talk about Able for a minute, because Able is AKA the Controls Freak. He has a website, I think it's called thecontrolsfreak.com. Kenny and I have been following Able for a while. He is he's a technician, okay? So he comes at it from a technician's viewpoint, but he does great videos, he does great training videos, and we'd love to, Able, if you're listening, we'd love to have you do a show for Control Trends and be on it. But Able basically breaks down spring return actuators, how to set them up, what it sort of means. He uses the Belimo as an example, shows it on a damper. It's a very informative video, and I think, sometimes Kenny and I get a bit esoteric with all of our conversations because we're tracking all these major trends, but sort of at the crux of it, when you get back down to control trends, a big part of what we do is having the how-to videos on how to troubleshoot things, how to set things up, and this is just a great example. So Able, thank you very much from Kenny and myself in the Control Trends community for that wonderful video. Keep them coming, and if you want to do something with Kenny and me, reach out, controltrends at gmail.com. So good stuff from Mr. Able Ramirez.
We're transitioning now. We're going to the control trends around the world. We're talking about Tommy Hangenes, the Nordic representative for EasyIO Europe, the BV Bergen area in Norway. Tommy's a really smart cookie. He was a
young gun.
He was a Top Gun last year, 2014, and he's got two friends. The Vikings were coming there. We felt like we were on the set of the Vikings or Game of Thrones. Yeah, these guys they seem to be a little bit bigger than the average American. Just big and bony guys, but real nice guys, real smart. They were very excited about what they saw there. The Easy Stack in particular. We had Andreas and Christoph. I have trouble sometimes hearing names because I'm paying attention.
And Runar Soli too, man. Runar Soli was one of those guys. So.
Well, I tell you, these guys are participating very heavily in the some of the categories. The Control Trends Awards, the nomination period is underway, and these guys are very active up there in Scandinavia, and some of the contractors are nominated now. But they're just very, very smart guys. They're they're engineers. They don't they keep their cards very close to their chest as far as they don't go out overboard. They don't like to experiment. They don't like to become, like you said, risk. They're risk averse. They're very, very allergic to things that don't work. So when they adopt something, and when they say we like it, it's like that thing with the sugar. Let Tommy try it or whatever.
Yeah.
So they tried it, and they give good, hats up, thumbs up to the EasyIO FG32 controller. They're looking forward to the Easy Stack, and just a great bunch of guys. And they won a special award this year. Remember Tommy? He says somebody's got to close that bar down.
Oh yeah.
Norway did it again this year.
If you're ever looking for somebody to close a bar down with, the Norwegians are your best bet. Strong stock. The Vikings, they come, they take the bar. They were there punctually for the next meeting, so I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
When you go down at 4 and back up at 6, you got some good genes there.
You sure do, buddy. You sure do.
What we have up next, moving along, we got a product. We got ACI's new remote Wet-Wet differential pressure transmitter with an LCD, and I know that anybody working with pump applications, the Wet-Wet differential pressure transmitter has always been an important part. It's always been a pain in the butt because we've had some good ones and bad ones. But I'll tell you, this A/WPR2 series remote Wet-Wet differential pressure transmitter from ACI is becoming a favorite. They're really pulling it through. They do a good job with the literature. Their whole site's been revamped. The marketing guys, they just really truly put forth a great effort, and it's paying off because they do awesome videos now. They really do break it down to make it, like you say, a video's worth 1,000 words and 10 tech sheet papers. If you can see somebody do it and you see where to, how to mount it, how to set it up, and now to have this benefit of an LCD that's a large screen LCD, it's becoming more and more, just a market. An industry standard now is LCDs, and they've got the economy of scale to lower the cost. So like you're saying, this is another product offering, another new product that's going to get its share of the market. But it features, it's just a huge display. It has the better resolution. They changed their range from 15, 0 to 15 to 0 to 10, so it gives you a lower range, which I think a lot of people are looking forward to. So you get better scalability, better resolution. But just another great product from ACI. Well done, and hello to Barry Gordon, downtown Barry Gordon.
No,
I've heard much from
Barry Flash Gordon, Kenny. Barry Flash Gordon, recipient of the first best technical support from a small manufacturer. So Barry's in the running again. ACI, great company, Kenny. They're sponsors of the Control Trends Awards as well, so we appreciate those guys. Again, one of those smaller companies, Kenny, that has great values, and people like KMC, almost like a family-run business. Great peripheral devices. So check those guys out. I think it's ACI. Is it ACI.com or ACI World?
It's work-ACI.
Work-ACI. Be sure to check those guys out. A lot of great peripheral devices. Those guys will take great care of you in terms of support as well.
And also, they now own the manufacture all the rescaling modules, all the little stuff in the DDC world to make your life easier when you're trying to go from floating to 0 to 10 or vice versa, whatever. These guys really got a very strong product portfolio and wireless now. ACI's been nominated for a few categories, but one of them now, don't forget, they've got that, they bought out a wireless manufacturer, and they now have that capability in-house. And they're very, very getting stronger and stronger at wireless applications. So well done, ACI, and we'll look forward to seeing y'all down there in Atlanta, Florida.
Well, speaking of wireless, where in the world is our friend David Alaban from Thermicon? I know he's a globetrotter. That's another company that has great wireless as well. David, where are you? We want to see you. You need to get on Control Trends. Our community misses you.
Well, he's based out of Hudson, Ohio. Here, he's not far from Pittsburgh, but he was in Germany last week, I believe. And he responded back to an email that, but they're moving along. I'll tell you that whole an ocean concept. I think we might even have a post coming to that. But while we're talking about wireless and while we're talking about solutions, let's visit the post with this very attractive female that looks a lot like you. I think her name's Britt Stromquist. She does a fabulous job. Very, very pretty face. It got hit. I'll tell you, that shows you what marketing does. That post got hit pretty. Got beat up because they wanted to see more of the introduction of the T600, low-cost, practical way to control temperatures and reduce energy consumptions in remote classrooms. So this was an application-specific thing. It was a great opportunity to take a look at the Stromquist facility again. Why don't you tell us a bit more about that post?
Well, it was it's from a couple years ago, but I think the technology is still valid. Johnson Controls has the T600 series of thermostats. These have occupancy sensors built into them, so you can put a schedule in them, and when the rooms are occupied, they'll go to that set point. It's a low-cost solution. There are a lot of solutions to do the remote classrooms or the portable classrooms now, but I think none more affordable than Johnson. And of course, I'm missing my daughter, so what better way to get it to look at her face than to put her on a post on Control Trends, because Kenny and I have to look at this website a lot every day, so that was it. So Britt, thanks. Great job with the intro. Mike Glenn from Johnson Controls sort of walks you through that stat and how it works. But if you like it, reach out to your local Johnson Controls distributor. Give them a try. But like I say, this is sort of meat and potatoes type proven technology. You don't need to put something in a portable classroom, and you need something that you can send a tech out there and get it done right away. This is your product.
Well, you mentioned something earlier too. How you're saying how the high end, that there, you have manufacturing companies that year after year, since 1905 and in 1890, some of the things we tracked, the old Johnson thermostats, Honeywell valve regulators, and so you're talking historically, just large enterprises that are going to be here for another 100 years, and that's one solution. So I always try to think of how we stratify our projects with good, better, best. In other words, if you have, budgets, but I think with the new technology, you can't ignore it because you need the features. It reminds me of the old days with pneumatics. You still have these staffs where you have just this deployment of pneumatic actuators and, damper actuators, valve actuators, thermostats. They say that 70% of the GSA buildings still have pneumatic control over their offices because technology was able to access the boiler rooms and was able to access the chiller rooms and bring them up to date and bring them under direct digital control supervision and really take advantage. But those office spaces were like hands off. You couldn't close them down. You couldn't rip out the wires. You couldn't take out couldn't take the tenants out of the space. So they just kind of got ignored. and it was kind of built around the industry. The building management and building automation industry was built around this nomadic core that they're finally coming up with products to access. And so we'll see companies like Johnson are coming up with solutions, and then you have some neat wireless solutions to that. But the point is that with this Johnson robust thermostat, it's dependable, it's easy, and it's reusable. After they probably, a school district could buy some of these remote thermostats, use them for their classrooms while they're there, and then have another opportunity somewhere else, like Christmas lights. You don't throw them away, and when the cubicles no longer, classrooms are no longer necessary, and they're sent back to whoever you leased them from. You now have, you got some still very reliable, staunch thermostats. But they also made that wireless too, which he did a very good job in the presentation. And so I think when you talk your good, better, best solutions, you need to take the features of new technology and add them to any of those solutions. And that's what's really cool about it. They're modular, and they're not punishing. The price points are getting really good. But then you can pick, the Belimo Energy Valve with all its amazing data aggregation capabilities, or you can take something like our next post.
Well, real quick, before you segue to that, Kenny, I want to say a special thanks to Chris Eichmann and Johnson Controls, platinum sponsors of the Control Trends Awards, and our friend Chris Eichmann is nominated for HVAC Controls Executive of the Year for a large manufacturer, so be sure to check him out. Great guy, but without companies like Johnson and Honeywell and people like that, we couldn't have the Control Trends Awards, so special thanks to them. And Kenny, while you're transitioning, I think the thing about Johnson is that they're one of those bigger companies that have a complete portfolio, soup to nuts, from the sensor all the way up to the full-blown automation system. And if that's what your customer's looking for, I mean, companies like Johnson and Honeywell offer that. They offer the whole thing. So, yeah, cool. So that brings us to our next post.
Yeah, and again, I love that concept of modularity. If you only have a budget that can only do one thing at a time, take care of the worst bleeder first, the one that's costing the most energy or operational difficulties, and then you can build with the next budget, just keep adding to it, but never going backwards. So the next post is a friend of ours, an amazing guy. He's probably one of the most versatile guys I've ever met. We've seen pictures of him on mountaintops skiing. In this particular one, he's underwater. He's actually an accomplished diver. Mike Marston of EasyIO. So the post is to play off of that. Take a deep dive with Mike Marston's EasyIO powerful engineering apps. Mike has there's not a guy that's more passionate about his product than Mike Marston. He's got an obvious vested interest in its success, and the success is becoming more and more prolific because of the applications that they're adding to it. So the whole concept of Mike Marston's post here was that he reviews EasyIO's new and powerful engineering applications featuring the FG32 Plus controller, which of course is one of the most versatile controllers on the market. But now they have a VAV AHU application. They have a chiller plant. They have 3 boiler plant apps that are easily modified to meet your exact applications. So he calls them reference applications. And what's really cool about with each one of these applications, when you load it up, it comes complete with graphics, logic, and documentation, product documentation, but also it includes the BACnet reference documents. So it's another great addition to a great portfolio from EasyIO. Well done, Michael.
I love Mad Mike Marston. He sent us an email, Kenny, saying he's working on his next Mike Marston's BAS Control Pub Talk, so that should be out soon. So yeah, but again, EasyIO, Kenny, platinum sponsors, they're always the first. Mike Marston always comes up after the award, says we're in for next year. So we appreciate EasyIO, Mike Marston, Gordon Chen, Lim, and the rest of the team from EasyIO. Buddy, the wind's starting to kick up here, so I'm not sure our audio is going to be doing. Anything else?
We got one more post, and we'll close her down.
Let's close her down.
It's Contemporary Controls BAS Controller 20, BACnet IP Sedona controller, instrumental in providing SCADA simulation. And this was a cool post. Contemporary Controls produces a Control Network newsletter, which is like building automation. Every month they got the internal forces there capture all their accomplishments, all the cool things that they've done in that month, and they put it on a newsletter. And one of the newsletter items was that they had 3 conferences at the same time. They were at the Honeywell Momentum 2015 in California. They were in the EasyIO Global Conference, and then they were in a show in Berlin, Germany, and all in the month of October. But we just wanted to make sure we give hats off to Contemporary Controls. That BAS Control 20 is nominated for Plant Controller of the Year, and the reason why is it's an open source Sedona framework. And it also coupled to some of another subject near and dear to us, and that's training. This particular post has a gentleman named John Vetti, a DDC control consultant specialist at DDSupportServices.com, which is an amazing place. They were hired by Walla Walla Community College in Washington to put in a training module that their students that were choosing a associate's degree in plant operations now. So we're seeing that proliferation. We were always wondering how we're going to get our next generation of people trained and able to take care of the facilities once you and I retire and head down to Aruba for a month at a time. We need somebody back here making these buildings work.
Right.
And these guys are doing a great job. So I just wanted to kind of feathered in there together that Contemporary Controls, a great company, George Thomas, Hall of Famer.
At the Control Trends Awards
They gave us
year.
an excellent book that I just used the other day when somebody was asking me about BACnet questions.
Nice.
Don't forget, you can go online, download this book. It's free. They gave it away to the industry, goodwill, but it is also the most prolific and in-depth references for network communications. These guys are the experts. So if you need problems solved with BACnet, as far as resistors, whatever the questions were, because we had a couple of questions come up, I went to the Contemporary Controls website and got the answer. So that was our last post, Mr. Stromquist.
All right, Kenny Smyers. Well, listen, I want to thank the Control Trends community. Remember, your nomination ballots are out. It's time to nominate. One of the categories we have is a Systems Integrator of the Year. We've gotten tremendous response out of that. We're adding names as they come in. So if you don't see your name up there or one of your Systems Integrators up there, nominate them. Kenny and I will put them on the ballot, but then you need to really send it out to your network. The top 5 or 6 in each category will go on to be finalists, but you have to get your network engaged. You have to get them to vote. Kenny and I will not share any of that information with anybody. As a matter of fact, the only reason we ask for an email address is so we can mail you the ballot when it's time to vote for the finalists, and then past that, we pretty much just destroy it, okay? All right. So with that, Kenny Smyers, we'll call it another week on Control Talk Now. So everybody have a great week, and remember, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. All right, brother.